much, you guys. The overlords of Instagram let me out of my cage. This is the first live I've done in like 2 years because I was not able to for quite a long time. But it seems that my dance videos are less concerning than my ebooks and blogs, I don't know, about health. Anyway, I am here to talk to you all a bit about something I feel very passionately about, which is the order of operations of reclamation. And I don't know about y'all, but I have been on the spin cycle of spiritual evolution past couple of months, years, decade. And I know that the only thing that has me standing is that I have like a rock solid relationship to my body and a rock solid trust and faith in anything that emerges symptomatically through my body. And I came to this understanding that there is like this Maslow's hierarchy, that there's like stuff you do first to get to the stuff you do next. And I know that stuff, right? And you're looking inside and you are owning these parts of yourselves that you never imagined you would have the courage to say, yeah, you know what? I am that. I'm that also. And to get to that place and to engage in like even more esoteric spiritual growth without a solid, trusting, faithful relationship to your body and what you call health is just like asking for punishment. I don't know how else to put it. So I became a believer many years ago in this order of operations and the fact that you restore your relationship to yourself when you reclaim your power of choice, when you recognize that you have choices. And the easiest way to start to do that is to recognize the choices that you make every single day. What are you putting in your mouth? What water are you drinking? What time are you going to bed? Right? What thoughts are you engaging? What ones are you saying, you know what, that's old, over it, right? And so my signature protocol, Vital Mind Reset, is essentially the extrapolation of what worked for me in reclaiming my health, actually even meeting the concept of health and wellness from my like Snickers, Doritos, and McDonald's lifestyle from when I was in my medical training. And I was diagnosed with my first, actually, and only health condition, but it was a big one, right? Hashimoto's thyroiditis, it's endemic, especially in postpartum population. And I did not want to take a prescription for the rest of my life. And so I engaged lifestyle change, even though I was not yet a believer in any of this, because I didn't learn this in medical school. I certainly didn't learn that nutrition has any relevance. I didn't learn that you could put a chronic illness into remission, that was even a thing. And so it was through my own experience, seeing in black and white on the lab work page, you know, that I had put my condition into full and now 13 years of remission with no prescriptions at all, that I became a believer. And I took this same protocol which was further adapted under the tutelage of my beloved past mentor, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez. And I took it into my practice. And I started to also simultaneously bring it online because it's really not that complicated and you can do it on your own from anywhere. And what I started to find was that the outcomes online, where it's like really self-started, were better. And we started to publish these. And so you can go to my outcomes page on kellybroganmd.com and you can see medical miracles, right? And they're only called miracles because the current paradigm can't explain how you can put lupus and inflammatory bowel disease and chronic migraines and bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and suicidal depression, how you can put premenstrual dysphoric disorder, all of these, you know, ICD codes, how you can put them into radical remission, sometimes in the space of weeks, right? How is that possible? That must be an anomaly, it must be a miracle. What I've come to believe is that when you set the conditions, literally anything is possible. And there is no need for it to be linear, for you to get like a little bit better every day for years. That is not necessary. You feel it, right? That we're in this space right now where radical shifts are possible. You just claim it. You just own it. You just want it. And it can be yours. Your story can change today, literally today. And I have found, I don't know if you're like me, I have found that I need a ritual experience to initiate me from my old way of thinking, my old way of being, my old victim stuff, into my new power, right? Which is actually very daunting, right? You have to grow your nervous system's capacity to hold the bigger you, the more pleasurable you, the more powerful you, because we've been taught as kids, right, that it's dangerous to align with yourself and to recognize how powerful you are, right? So the ritual, like I just got legally divorced, right? That was a massive ritual for me where I could make contact with my deeper self and grow bigger, expand, glow up a bit because of the ritual. I recognize how necessary that was, right? And this ritual experience of a 1-month protocol, I think, is a big part of the alchemical power. Also, it's been around for a minute. It's the only program online that is actually evidence-based. We have a randomized trial evidencing, if you're into that kind of science, that you can put your symptoms into remission within 44 days, specifically in the realm of what we call depression. And the field of possibility has grown around this protocol. That is the only way I can explain it, right? Because you can read it in my book. It's in my books. It's online. You can get started tonight on your own. However, I think that when we really want to level up and we invest what I believe personally needs to be an uncomfortable amount of money into the opportunity to be around people, in this case, me and Jamie and my team, and all of the alumni from this program, be around people who are being this way, who already are living this way, who already have this on lock. Then you get the codes, right? Then all of a sudden, that quantum leap is possible, that non-linear acceleration of your path is possible. You get to be in the energy, you see what it is to adopt that way of being, that way of thinking. And there is nothing that we need more help with right now than thinking differently about this human body. I've been dedicated to presenting a very different story about the human body, about health and illness and symptoms for a long time now. And I do not believe in chronic illness. I do not believe that anyone is actually terminally sick, morbidly sick, if they don't want to be. And I've been offered some constructive feedback about that perspective and become a bit, notorious for shaming victims and all this stuff. However, that's part of the whole operation, right? Is that the people who tell you you've got this, there's nothing wrong with you, you're not broken, and you can transform this, transmute this, and you can let the light shine through your wound. You just need the right kind of support, and you need to set the conditions. Those are the people, obviously, they need to put in the cage, put in the closet. So I'm happy to be here with you all today. And yeah, I get excited about the prospect of more and more of you stepping into the live experiences with us, because we get to grow that field for the collective, right? That means there's even more of us who are holding this reality defiantly, audaciously, and saying, you know what? I'm not going to be sick for good. You know what? I'm not in need of this medical system. You know what? I'm ready for my next chapter. I'm ready to recognize that I have this creative power within me, and that I was told that I was broken, and I was told that there's something wrong with my chemistry, and I was told there's something wrong with my genes, and I was told that, this is just the way it is in my family. It doesn't need to be that way. However, when you're ready, you're ready. When you're ready, ready. And there's nothing you can do if you're not ready. However, if there is a little yes inside, sometimes that little yes, which is the beginning of your connection to your intuition, because of the ways that we've protected ourselves, can get pummeled over by a big no, right? And that big no is no, I don't have time, I don't have money, it's not gonna work for me. I need a real doctor who's gonna treat me one-on-one, and my thing is too complicated, and whatever, who is this broad, whatever. If there is a little yes beneath, this is your invitation to listen. Because I cannot tell you how many times in my life I have listened to that little yes. Whether it was, go to this class, speak to that person, turn around, read that book. And it has literally changed the course of my life in a way I could never have designed. Listening to that little yes, even beneath all of the big no, is it's a life path. And it starts often, for many hundreds of people who have had experiences through Vital Mind Reset, it starts with this first audacious move, with this first commitment. Because, you know, this program we start on Monday is, it's a real deal, right? So it's not like a thing you do on the side while you're still living your life that's not working for you. It's the beginning of the rest of your life. I'm just going to put it like that. And it is that way because of the energy that's held in this container, and because of what we believe and how we are. You know, every single person on my team lives this way. We believe these things. We have experience living in our human bodies with this, within this paradigm. And so when you step in and you commit and you choose to believe that there is something so much more for you, I cannot tell you what I have witnessed, born from people who were told that they are mentally ill for life, people who were told they're going to be in chronic pain forever, people who are told that they need to take medications and they have literally no other option because it's that bad. These people they rise like a phoenix from the ash. It is the greatest delight of my life. This is when I largely put down my activist sword years ago, was because it doesn't feel good, really, to fight what is. It feels really good to celebrate what is possible. And that's why, you know, I encourage you all to check out the link, if nothing more, and just allow yourself to know, because we published in the medical literature, right? For me, it's like a sport, you know, to put these kinds of cases on PubMed. And if you know what is possible, then that little yes can arise. If you don't know, and you've only ever been told a certain story about sickness, that it's random, and it's not you telling you about you, then you can't possibly align with that potential. And then you're out of integrity with your potential, and you're living in suffering because it hurts to be out of alignment for good reason. That's what symptoms are. They are an invitation for you to align. And so we've got about, 24 hours or so left before we set sail. And won't have another live experience till the end of the year. And I don't know if you really want to wait till the end of the year to level up. I don't. I got things to do. And major, wild carpet rides to take. And I know that if I didn't have a sound experience within my body, and really a fear-free relationship to my body and symptoms. And that's not to say I never have symptoms. I could tell you very interesting stories about symptoms that have pretty clear emotional messages to me, even over the past year. It just means that my reflex is curiosity. My reflex is never, what's going on? What if that's serious? What if it spreads? What if it's this? No. And that is something, it's conditioning, right? You have an opportunity and a responsibility to condition yourself out of fear so that your nervous system shifts into regeneration, shifts out of helplessness and dependency and into the conditions that result in healing. That's why, I use this protocol for an autoimmune, thyroid condition. Then I applied it to so-called mental illness. Then we developed outcomes, no doctor involved, directly, in all manner of disciplines of medicine. How do you explain that? Why? There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all, obviously. And that's true. However, there are conditions that can be set for your nervous system to do what it does best, which is harmonize and establish balance and homeostasis. And from that point of reconnection to yourself and trust that you made the right choice, you made the scary choice, you put a lot on the line in terms of this investment, and you walked into the maybe, you walked into the possibility that there's more for you. Then what I found is people go in all sorts of directions, right? They go into plant medicine and homeopathy and essential oils and energy medicine and, depth psychology, and they find exactly what they need to take them the next level and the next level, and it's that spiral. It's that beautiful spiral. So I invite you to join us. The link is pinned, and you can also just find it on kellybroganmd.com. I am here not to just yap away, but to also answer questions. So do let me know if you have any questions. I'm so hard to multitask. I forgot how challenging this is. I'm going to see if anybody has any, but definitely drop any in, and then if not, I will share a couple of questions that we got we have a Telegram chat if you want to ask. Also voice questions to Jamie, who is my co-leader in VMR. All right, so many lovely people. It's nice to digitally be with you all again. Amazing. Somebody just put themselves into remission of alopecia. Yes, you see? Now you know that's possible. Okay, so I don't see any questions, so I'll just riff on, oh my God, so many emojis. on some that we got. Okay. Oh my gosh. Many scrolls. Okay, so a question that we often get is, I have X. Does this program work for me? Would this program work for me? We got a question earlier today about eating disorders specifically, right? And I had, for a decade in New York City, a women's based private practice, and I would say about like a third of my patients came in with pre-existing diagnoses consistent with disordered eating, right? And the answer to this is related to what I've already shared, which is you remain out of alignment with yourself and therefore struggling and therefore suffering whenever you refuse to take the invitation to check out what this is about, because it always makes sense. Your symptoms, no matter literally what they are never random. I believe so passionately, you could never, never beat this out of me, that the body does not make mistakes. I don't even believe that autoimmune conditions are the body attacking itself. I don't believe that cancer is a mistake. And I have reasons based on, again, because I come from a very conventional mindset, and I took a bridge from the conventional to the radical that was paved by science. It needed to be that way for me. So you look at my books, there are hundreds of scientific references. This isn't just like, oh, this is what I like to think. And that's fine, of course. However, for me, I am interested in a perspective on the body that puts its vitalistic intelligence in the foreground. And if it's true that all of your symptoms make sense given a certain context, given a certain understanding that you are holding, right? So you're the one actually narrating what is happening, right? If I get into a car accident and my girlfriend gets into a car accident, we can have totally different experiences. I could be like laughing afterward, and she could be in a trauma space for months afterward based on what we make it mean, right? So the way to turn towards yourself and to begin to care for this vessel as if it were your own newborn baby is what I have protocolized, right? So it's every single day, I tell you what's up for 44 days. And then you're free. And you've been sufficiently brainwashed, you've been sufficiently conditioned around this, right? So when you stop fighting what is when it comes to your symptoms, then not only neurobiologically does your system shift out of fight or flight and freeze into its regenerative capacity, but then you begin to restore psycho-emotionally and even psycho-spiritually that connection to your inner self. You begin to say, oh, okay, I'm interested. What is going on in there? What is this about? And there's little whispers of intuition that you would never hear, by the way, if you're in this like chronic alarm state, inflammatory state with like bloating and your hair falling out and your joints hurting and you're not sleeping, and you can never hear those little whispers, right? So we need to quiet it all down so you can hear you. And I don't believe that there is an exception to this kind of reset ritual being necessary when it comes to a relationship with the body. Do I think this is the only one? Of course not. It's, as far as I know, the only one that has proof, if you want to call it that, online. And we only offer it twice a year, and this is one of the offerings. So take that, with whatever you'd like to do with it. However, some ritual initiation, because we are not initiated as adults. We are not initiated to our power. We are not initiated beyond our fears. And we are like stuck and quaking in this like teeny container of our child psychology, and specifically separated from our own bodies. And I could talk about this all day long, I won't. When it comes to how it is that we were pitted against our own bodies, our own animal natures, our own sexuality. This is a real thing that happened to all of us in our childhoods. And the reclamation of that, it's gotta be big. And it's often a one-time thing. It's a one-time initiation. And I would say, like, don't pass go before you have located how that's gonna look for you. What that health reclamation is gonna look like. You know, don't go into family constellation work and family dynamics and trauma work before your nervous system has been connected back to your soul, before you have sent what I call this signal of safety. So that's, I guess, my long-winded answer. Let me see. Okay, hi. So somebody's saying I'm a VMR alum and also a member of VLP, and in one of your videos, you mentioned I transitioned in my diet to vegetarian. Okay, so I don't know how long I can make this at this point, because I could talk about this all day long. So the nutritional protocol that I have facilitated and implemented in my private practice for 10 years that has conferred this nervous system stabilization, that has allowed hundreds of women to come off of multi-decade prescription medication use, and it's the same protocol that I use myself on no prescriptions, and it's the same protocol that my friends, you know, here in Miami have used to reset themselves when they're in a spiral and things are just like not moving the way that they want them to. It's based on a paradigm of nutrition that I learned from and through my mentor, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez. I was very blessed to be mentored by him the last year of his life, and his protocol, which was 12 different diets, made so much sense out of why the specific diet that I recommend for the reset of your life, for this reclamation process, for the I'm struggling, I think I'm chronically sick, I'm scared of my body, I don't know what to do with all of these symptoms, I can't live, right? For that moment, it seems that this is the diet. The diet is not vegetarian, okay? And we also have a vegetarian track. We just don't have outcomes for that we've studied, right? Because in my practice, it was this more ancestral diet. This diet is best for what are called parasympathetic dominance, which you can read about in my books if you're curious about his teachings on the autonomic nervous system and the different ways that we are dominant, either as sympathetics or parasympathetics. I'm a sympathetic, right? And I use this same diet because I was that run down, right? Because I was that burnt out, that I started to look wired and tired the way a lot of paras look, right? So my philosophy on nutrition is the same as his, which is that you will eat the diet that heals you. You will want to. You just have to strip it of all of the addictive bait that is otherwise in processed foods, right? So there were times in my 13 years journeying through and past chronic autoimmune illness where I would eat 18 radishes every day for 3 weeks, or where I would crave mushrooms, or where I would be so into salt, that it was white on top of my food. So the parameters, I would set this safe container of parameters, and then I would just follow what I actually wanted. And there's no too much, there's no calorie counting, there's no portion control, there's no nothing like that in this model. Over time, I believe that you can go from actually borrowing the prana, if you want to look at it energetically, or literally the adrenal hormones and fear hormones of these animals who are undoubtedly murdered, however you want to look at it, in more or less sacred conditions depending on how you're sourcing. You can borrow that. I know it's not a very sexy idea, and trust me, I've taken a lot of heat from the vegan community over the years, and I get it. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do with their conscious relationship to the animal kingdom or to their food. I'm just telling you what I have witnessed works. And this is how I've made sense out of it. That when you are that twisted up and crunked up in your trauma body, in your pain body, that disconnected from yourself, you borrow from these animals. And that's why in a diet that is red meat forward, involves glandulars, involves other things, it is I think it can be a temporary stabilization. I ate that way for many, many years. And then because I have a strong connection to my intuitive compass, I got to a place where I said, you know what? I think I'm done. And now it's been 1.5 years and I'm doing okay. And so that is the idea, that perhaps there is an alchemical process in your relationship to diet and food and nutrition that evolves and changes over time. All that I know is that this is a starting place for many thousands that I have witnessed, engage their own health process in a way that would be described as miraculous. So hopefully that helps. Okay, let's see if there are any others. Oh, I love it. Katie says, this program changed my entire life and health. Awesome. That I love. Just seeing if there's any more questions. Okay, cool. Okay, I want to, there's a couple questions. I want to is the diet in my book? Yes, it's in both of my books. I have hundreds and hundreds of free blogs, also online that reference the diet. However, the program is not just a diet. It is a lifestyle reset that is 30 days long. Go big or go home. No cheating, not once ever for 30 days. That's part of the alchemy of it. And then there's 2 weeks in the beginning where I brainwash you, okay? Where I condition you around a different way of thinking about health and wellness and symptoms and the body. And the protocol itself, we have had, if you look on our outcomes page, we have had people who have just read the book and run with it. However, more people require this energetic holding container and stepping into the field, where they can be influenced energetically by others who are already living this way, who you tap in, and then you don't have to get yourself somewhere. Then you just become it. It's like tuning forks resonating, right? You tap one and the other resonates at the same, frequency. So I think that that's part of what happens when you engage a live field. Somebody is asking also about when you have a hard time committing. This is where the readiness comes in. And this is also where the investment comes in. Because I have a lot of free stuff out there, and I have given this program for free to a number of friends and colleagues, and I have never, one time ever, gotten an outcome, from that. There is an alchemy into becoming the person who purchases and invests in a program like this. When you do that, you already are somebody different than the person who says, I can't. Right? And you're getting your needs met through that victim consciousness. When you say, you know what, I can and I will. That is the first step that starts to make the commitment actually possible. When you simply choose, the activation of that superpower then makes the commitment possible. Does that make sense? So I also wanted to make a comment about medications. Okay, somebody's asking about enemas. Oh, you see? Okay, so it looks like Debbie is saying, I've been told by many doctors that my Hashimoto's diagnosis cannot be reversed. I'm in menopause and kind of believe it was started after a very abusive event from my ex-husband. Yes, there's always a deep meaning. This diagnosis for me was at the turning point of my entire life, 13 years ago, after I had my first daughter, and I was given this opportunity because I was starting to explore so-called alternative medicine to get in or out, right? And so this is like, am I going to speak it or am I going to suppress it? Yes, I believe in the narrative Meaning, and of course your doctor is going to say that it's chronic. I have said, apropos of our recent conversation on food, you can't go to the butcher to ask about veganism. Doesn't make sense. Full remission, full recovery, and the meaningful role of your symptoms and your illness in your story is not on sale in the Western model. It's not available there. So you have to find another place to shop, right? And I personally like to shop at places where I know others have had a good experience, right? And where I can trust that if I simply choose and commit, there is a huge possibility for non-linear progression, for non-linear acceleration of my process. Because I'm not interested in the slow path. I am here for the wild ride. And I'm pretty sure you are too, or you wouldn't be listening. So I want to address medication briefly because some people might have questions about this. Oh, I love this. I am, if you don't know, I have a book with an exploding pill on the cover. I am a believer that the psychology of medication, the spirituality of medication, and the physiology of medication is consistent with a very limited experience of your human potential. Okay? To each his own. Whenever you're ready to explore something else, that's great. I am not interested in fighting that system. As Bucky Fuller says, I'm interested in creating a new one that renders it obsolete. This protocol is what I have recommended, bar none, to anyone who is considering coming off of any medications, period, any kinds. Because if you don't send your nervous system that signal of safety first, the destabilization of removing these chemicals from your system that has adapted to them it can be horrendous. I could tell you stories. So that's why it was only probably a year or so after I committed to helping people off of medication in my private practice that I said, okay, you know what? Don't come back for another appointment until you have done this and you've done it, actually done it. And then everything changed. And then I started to, see these outcomes as possible. So you stay on all your things during the protocol. This isn't like a drop it like it's hot, prescription pad thing. You stay. And then if it is your desire, if it is your preference to one day eliminate certain, medications from your repertoire and move out of that system, well, we've published a bunch of cases that shouldn't otherwise exist to, demonstrate that that's possible if you want it. And your journey is going to look exactly the way your journey needs to look. Exactly. So let's see. Any others? Okay, so some people, I only had an adult practice, right? I've only ever worked with adults. I am a mother of 2 daughters and they are robustly healthy. However, I don't treat children and didn't in my practice, right? So I can't say that this is a protocol for children or even teenagers. However, many people have done this as a household, and honestly, it's kind of the only way, where you commit together as a household, you support each other, and everyone's in it. And we have, in our FAQs, we have some basic, physiologic recommendations about how to modify for kids, which you would, like the starch content, etc. I'm gonna give some sorry, not sorry news to anyone who is struggling with their children's health, which is to say that it starts with you. It starts with you. I had, my daughter had a pretty significant so-called allergy to slime. Do you know what slime is? Like that stuff the kids are playing with. Anyway, and I could explain that, right? It's borax, it's can be toxic to the skin or whatever. And I am a believer that she is holding, and was certainly holding, a lot of the energy of my first divorce. When we, which was years ago, and that this rash would flare up only around my struggles emotionally in a certain pattern, right? So I could say, oh, what's wrong with her? And she becomes what's called the identified patient. And then I'm like chasing the cure for her, right? Or I can make sure that I'm right in here, which, trust me, is an ongoing commitment. To get right in here, I believe you have to have that foundation of healthy physiology and of a healthy relationship to the idea of wellness, the idea of illness. Once that's under your feet, then you will attract the resources that you need to process and to support you in your psychonautical journey into your, parts within, and to learn how to feel your feelings. I don't know that it's possible to learn how to feel feelings before your nervous system is stabilized. And I don't know how you stabilize your nervous system because I know this way, right? Because I know that this is a way. It's not the only way, but it's the way I know. And so I believe, like, when people ask, like, oh, should my kid do it? No, you should do it. You should do it. And if you're here listening, that's probably a sign, right? So that's sort of like the inconvenient truth, if you will, according to me. Okay, let's see. Have I seen people deeply entrenched? That's a great question, and not able to make the shift. I'm sure I have. We have a lot of people come back, not a lot, but we have people come back to have the live experience of the group coaching calls again. And, you have lifetime access. So if you want to give it a whirl now and it's like not the moment, you can come back and do it. However, I'm a believer in the deep dive, and it's always going to feel like, it's going to feel like jumping into cold water. It's going to feel like it takes your breath away, and it's going to feel like that leap. And the leap is the courage. The leap is, yes, I'm worth it. Like, yes, I matter. I am done with this way. I'm done with this way of being myself. This is not who I actually am. I know that there's more. So that leap, it's never going to feel like the right time. It's never going to feel like the right cost. It's never going to feel like the right, like there's always going to be resistance, right? Or not always, I'm sure. For me, there almost always is when I am, because I have many versions of these up-leveling experiences that I've invested in. And there's always like I don't know. I mean, I remember, many of you know that I've become recently obsessed with pole dancing, right? The first time I took a class, I was like, this is for masochists. Like, who would ever do this? You get bruises, it hurts, like, you have to be like some kind of Olympic athlete. Like, why do people even pay $35 to come here to a class in Miami, right? And then I had an experience of watching a woman move her body around this pole, and I felt in my body a desire to inhabit that experience. It's the same thing. If you watch one of these testimonial outcomes, or you're just listening to what I'm rambling about, and there's something in you that's like, I want that. That is the magic carpet. Get on it, right? Because then you're motivated intrinsically. You're motivated inside yourself, and you haven't activated that. You should do this. Be a good student. Like, why aren't you following it? Why? It's coming from this hunger, this desire, this claim. This is mine. This is mine. Get out of my way. I'm taking it, right? And that's such a different energy. It doesn't require that like self-flagellating, frankly, child like relationship to a power outside of yourself. And that's, why I no longer practice clinically, because I feel like the age of the guru, and specifically the age of the doctor-patient, is really coming to a shift, let's say. And that you can do this on your own, and you can do it when the conditions are set, and part of those conditions are a field of belief that you just step into, and then you're conferred. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah. So being afraid of anything that your body is doing is a very difficult way to live. And it's so natural. We've been completely conditioned. Look, what's been going on recently, right? And you can shift You can shift that belief. It's challenging, I think, to do it just reading a book or thinking about it a lot, right? You can shift that belief, like I said, when you have a feeling inside of yourself of connection to a deeper truth. Because the truth always feels good. If what you're thinking feels bad, it's not true. So how do you connect with a deeper truth about what symptoms mean, with a deeper truth about what your body is doing, with a deeper truth about how to inhabit your experience of health without fear? You connect by being in the room with people who are already doing it and who see you and who see that it's possible for you too. I think if I have a gift in this life, it's that I have the capacity to see what is possible in others before they can see it. I've always had that. And I think that's, part of what I was able to, that gaze I was able to offer to my patients, which is in total defiance of this concept that they're like sick and broken mental patients. No, like I can see your largesse, your hugeness, like your, divinity, really. So, all right. I'll take another question or two and then I will bid you adieu. Are there any assignments or daily tasks? Yes. So I am a huge program participant. Like at any given time, I'm doing 3 different programs from my colleagues. I like them. I like exploring ideas and I like learning in that way, on my own, right? So when I buy a program and I open it up and there's an hour-and-a-half video every day, I feel very daunted and I wobble in my commitment. So I specifically designed this and it's been refined over the years. In fact, at the beginning of, what am I allowed to say on here? At the beginning of this collective experience that started in 2020, I did some deep inner work. And I went and I re-recorded every single video, 44 days of videos. So I have been iterating this over time, and it certainly got a huge infusion when I met my mentor in 2014, the refinement of the protocol. Oh my God, I just looked up and somebody said, "Are you married?" That's funny. Anyway, okay, so I have made the videos very bite-sized and the text very manageable, and the assignments are, I think, similarly manageable. Meaning, we tell you how long everything is going to take. This is not going to be something you have to quit your job for. However, it has to be the thing, the highlight, the marquee on your life for these next 44 days. Because imagine, right? You could get to July and literally be a different person. And that person is actually literally being who you've always been. I mean, that's the paradox, right? So if that turns you on, if that feels exciting, that feels exciting to me, honestly. If that shift can happen pretty much predictably, then you commit in a different way. Because it can't be like a side hustle. It's got to be the main feature. It's like a monogamous relationship to this program, and that's why there are weekly calls to get you in the field, to keep you on track, and to make sure that you are in your receptive yes, yes, bring me what I have been waiting for. I'm finally ready. And you know how I'm ready? Because I said yes and I joined this universe. That's how you know I'm ready. Okay? So bring it. That's the ritual. I'm in the ritual experience of reclaiming, saying yes, stepping in to something bigger. And I'm held by all of these people who know this is possible in a way that, honestly, well, whatever. I have a big mouth and a lot of radical opinions, and I have proof to support my perspective. There aren't a lot of folks out there, apart from my mentor, who, from the clinical world anyway, who get this real about it. Let's put it that way. So the shift can be massive. Okay, is that it, peeps? Somebody wants to share. I don't have any idea how to do that. Let's see. That could be fun. She says, I would be honored to share for a few minutes on how vital Mind Reset set me on the path of trusting my body. Okay, so my mentor is Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez. I write about him in my books, and well, actually my second book. And hi Millie, and he has passed.